brain. Welcome into his frequency. Enter at your own risk. Come be at peace with me. Ask the Paul, where we rise and don't fall.
I just felt bad because I've been so disconnected, but I just been grinding. I mean, y'all see a little bit from social media or whatever, but
You're doing
working.
something great. You're doing something great. You know, my
Yeah,
brother.
I mean, and I can really attest to that because, just being honest, the last episode that we did was probably with Braxton. It was probably with Baxter. And I went back and watched that episode at least 4 times in its totality. It was good substance. I just always go back to boundaries are meant to be respected and maintained and respected and protected. I always go back to that. I've been thinking about that all year. You said that to us in December on the closeout. So I've definitely been waiting to get back to chop it up again because it was just good stuff.
No, man, I appreciate that. And y'all, we learning from each other. We are in similar positions, just trying to figure this thing out, man. And in many ways, we are first generation, a lot of stuff, right?
Yeah.
Let's I feel like I want to keep some of that at the very, but let's get the official intro done and let's jump into it. So welcome back to another episode of Baxter's Buzz. I am your host, Baxter E. Hall. Welcome to my brain. Welcome to my frequency. Enter at your own risk. Today I have two special guests. We're just talking about their podcast, Life and Times of Troy and Hendrix. I have Troy and Hendrix here. What up, though? How y'all doing?
Good. Oh, man, all is well. All is good. I'm one half of the Life and Times, and you got the other one on here. But we're just happy to be with you. We're always getting closer to God. We're here, and we're glad to be a part of this. It's that simple.
Yeah, I'm just happy it was able to happen so quick. It didn't take a while. Like I know last time I was kind of difficult. You were just like, "Hey, I'm open tomorrow," and I was like, "Great."
No, man. Sometimes you just got to make stuff happen. And the reason I wanted you both on to talk, because we're approaching Father's Day, and I want to make sure that we highlight fathers. I want to talk specifically about both of your experiences, and I want to just continue to make sure that people know that they can't paint us all with a broad brush, and there are some wonderful involved fathers, and imperfect fathers, but present fathers, right? So one of the things that I was just really curious about was just, you're talking about your work schedule, Troy. Trev, I think you kind of all over the place too, as far as like your work and everything. Like, talk about balancing your family situation as a father, balancing work, balancing like the household, and the challenges that may come along with that, because it's not easy, right?
No, it's not.
Well, I think I could take a stab at this because being a new parent, when we get together, we want to have these conversations about what we're doing. But I think it's important to highlight the opportunities that we have to get better. So being a new parent, it's definitely been an adjustment. And I think that word priority is something that I'm really coming to grips with, even though my daughter is 11 months and counting. It's just, you say it all the time that you want to have kids and you're ready for kids, but when you get that responsibility, you don't always handle it the right way, and it has been an adjustment. I can say that me and my child's mother, we've had a lot of conversations where she's really been pressing me and kind of helping me really get it and understand it. I'm glad that we don't just have the opportunity to make hits on our own, because I personally would be lost. You know, you do need a great support system. And I'm gonna just wrap this up, but it definitely has been an adjustment. But you know, the only thing you can really do is work at it, because the children, they don't really care about, you know, you getting it right or getting it wrong. They just want to see you. They just want the presence. They just want the effort. So that's what I'm learning more than anything. If I can't do everything right, the one thing that I got to do is be present. So
yeah, no, that's real. Troy, you was gonna say something?
Yeah, and this referencing you saying work, life, and family balance, right?
Yeah, for sure. Well, if it
Yeah,
spurs another thought, go ahead and share whatever is on your mind.
yeah, and not to take up too much time going a tangent, but like I think my children older than y'all's, right? I have a soon to be 13-year-old and my daughter be 8. Like,
for
right.
sure older than mine.
Yeah.
For sure.
And so I get to speak from, and I had my child early. I was 19 turning 20. And so I'm seeing it now, the different dynamics between my son and daughter. It's like now that work-life balance is important because now I have a 13-year-old. So if you just do the numbers game, I just talked to my son like last week. It's really only 5 years that I really have that I could spend as much time with him. You know, he kind of don't get a choice. It won't be
As you want. You're right. Correct.
It won't be too much impeding that. But once he goes off to college, gets older, you know, we even see it with our parents. We don't get that time with them. And I know you lost your mother early, but you get what I'm saying? Those ones close to us, we're fighting for that time. So now I'm even seeing the urgency of how you balance it. Like us, we men, our job don't care about our schedule. They, you know, we supposed to go out there, slay the dragon, bring food on the table.
100%.
So they always looking at it, you know, work, work, work. But it's more onus on us to make sure we spend that time. And I talked about it with my wife. I'm like, even if it's something as simple as, you know, we got to set a schedule, make family nights. You get what I'm saying? I made it my business this past weekend, go spend time with my son and daughter individually. Even something as simple as last night, I got in a little bit late from work, working out. My daughter just wanted to lay next to me. So I made it my business to lay in her bed so she can sleep on my chest and then go to sleep. Basically, all I'm saying is every moment counts. And impact is important. It don't got to be something grand. They just want that time, and we got to make it meaningful. I'm playing games with my son because, like I say, I can see it now. I see it happening. My son is 13, getting a mustache, getting taller. So now it's like, dang, I got to make this count.
Yeah.
So it's important. It's important no matter how many. And I'm a guy, I'm a workaholic. I like to work. I like to be, I'm good at what I do. I want to get better. I want to improve. So it's a big part of my life. But knowing that I still can't let my drive to greatness get in the way of what I'm doing as a parent and even as a husband.
Yeah, it's a challenge, right? Because we're like, oh, I'm working this hard for you, right? I'm doing this for you.
I explain that to my son. Yeah.
But they don't really care. Like both of you guys just said, like they just want, you know, your presence. And so it's a difficult balance. And, you know, because I'm in a sales role, I don't ever really leave work. I may not be at a meeting or at an event, but I'm responding to a message, text, email, or whatever. And sometimes you just have to like leave, you know, just leave it. So you have a 13, 8-year-old. Trev, your baby is 11 months. My oldest is 9. My daughter is 9. My son is 6. And we were just talking a couple weeks ago about the book. You know, I wrote the book as a letter to her, right? And so somebody was asking her. So we were chilling, hanging out, but we ended up recording a couple of questions just because it was just conversation we were having anyway. So they turned the camera to her. and asked her, what do you think about this book? Or I told her, I said, people keep asking me, what does my daughter think? What do you think? And she, she thinks it's cool. She thinks it, she likes the fact that she's on the cover. But she said something about, she said there are some nights that like she said something along the lines, I missed out on hugs some nights because daddy was, trying to finish this book, right?
Mm.
And I didn't, I'm like, wow. We had never talked about that, individually. But it's like, man, she wasn't upset about it, but it was very much
She let it
knew.
be known.
Yeah, and it was something.
Let it be known.
Like so it's, it's one of those things that kind of pulls at your heart, right? It's like, man, I don't ever want, if I'm here, physically here, I don't want her to feel like I don't have time to, do that. But at the same time, I was like locked in, right? And, one of the chapters is about the harder you work, the lonelier you may feel. And I even it's funny because I'm referencing that from the other side of the coin, where I'm literally writing like, I know you're excited. I know mommy's excited about the book, but nobody's down here writing it for me, right? Sometimes you just gotta, certain things you just gotta do on your own, right? So, but to hear it from my baby girl perspective, it was, it's like, man, it's like a little slap in the face, like cold water, like, could you have made time for, that type of thing. So you never know what sticks with them.
I got to interject right here because I wanted to ask y'all both, because y'all been parents longer than I have. And both of you all are established, gentlemen now. I mean, my guess is that you probably are doing better, or a lot better than you were maybe a decade ago. At least most of us are. So the question I ask is, when you were juggling, having your child or having your children, but not necessarily being where you wanted to be in a particular phase in life, whether it was work, whether it was physical, mental, how did you all fight that? As far as like with having kids, because I think that when you have children, your flaws, your weaknesses, they're damn near illuminated. Like once a man has kids, not only does he see everything wrong with them, but they're damn near magnified. So how did y'all kind of deal with the anxiety of not having everything together and kind of keeping yourself composed enough to kind of make it through those moments? I mean, when you are, when your kids were first coming about.
Yeah. Well, I'll start, when my daughter was, 11 months, my wife and I were going through it. It was a big change for us. We had been together for a long, married, both of us basically, our only children grew up on our own. And now we got this baby, and it's like, okay, how we, so that adjustment put a lot of pressure on us, not to mention, jobs you don't like and that whole thing, right? There was a lot of pressure. I don't want to minimize or try to oversimplify it, but one of the things that I do, the way I operate now, is I do the things that I would tell them to do. So I act, we're not talking about getting everything right. We're not talking about doing everything perfect. But we're talking about we're gonna try. And if it's advice that I would give them, if they were in my shoes, that's what I do. So and they don't know any different. My daughter, all she knows is when daddy say he's gonna do something, he do it. He started a podcast, wrote a book, whatever, right? If I say it, she don't know my insecurities like I know, right? Those illuminations that you're talking about. first of all, what's done is done in the past, right? We can't worry about that. But
Mhm.
but we carry that stuff. She don't know no different. My wife knows.
Mm.
My wife knows. My daughters know when daddy says he's gonna do something, he does it. So that's the hope that I have for them. When I say this is what I would do, they won't be like, well, when you had a chance to do that, you didn't do that.
Mm.
Right. So that's one of the biggest motivators for me is to live the way I would advise them to live. So I can tell them, look, and I came up short, but I went for it. Or this
Mm.
worked out. But this is, I took action. Right. I spent a lot of time uh overthinking, not giving my all, and calling it, making up names for it, trying to protect my insecurities. And now I'm just really empowered to just go for it, man, and just and in hopes that they're looking.
Yeah.
So, no, it's crazy you say that because you hit so much on the nail on the head. I think the biggest thing that I look at, like you said, our insecurities, our issues that we have, we're gonna always have that. People who strive to be better and who judge themselves, we are our biggest critics. But like I said, the biggest thing I'm looking at now, and like I said, my son, as he's 13, of course, I can have these conversations with him. Um, you know, the biggest thing I said to him, I was just like, not to go off on a tangent, but I said, one, of course, we had that conversation. I work hard. I do this for you. I want to put you in a position that I wasn't in so that, two, as you get older, you can be able to focus on things. So if dad's not here, no, he going out to be great for you. But then, two, I told him as well, hold me accountable. Hey, let me know if I haven't seen you in a while. You get what I'm saying? Hey, spend some time with me. I gave him that free reign. Because end of the day, we have all these goals and dreams for my children. And I told my son this. I laughed at him. I said, I thought I was going to have a 6'5" basketball player. I was going to coach you. He was going to be able to dribble with both your left and right hand, by the time you were 6. But what's crazy is I basically created myself all over. And what I told him, though, is the difference in this, though, is you're going to be able to learn from my mistakes. And I said, my biggest thing is I didn't always go out and strive for that greatness. I said, you'll be able to do that. So when I was a B student, my son is an A student.
Mm.
And I said, that's that difference that you have learning from your dad mistakes. You're going to be great. So at the end of the day, don't worry about what you don't have. Because all we're doing is we're teaching, we're growing, we're learning ourselves. And then two, we just want to take these jewels that we learn and pass it on to our children so they can navigate better. Because now I can see what my son is going through. I've been through there. So I can advise. Whereas my dad probably didn't know how to do that for me. I know how to do that with him.
Yeah.
So that's just what it's all about. End of the day, to be frank, to be blunt, it don't matter what the hell we going through. We still got to teach them. We still got to guide them. We can't look at where we're at, deters from that goal.
Yeah.
Whether I have 10,000 or 1,000,000 or 100,000, I still have to be a parent with whatever I have.
Let me say this, Trevor, and I want you to jump in because I know you got something else profound to say, I'm sure. Today, so a couple days ago, maybe, yesterday morning, I apologized to my 6-year-old son. I was frustrated trying to get out the house. I had to be somewhere. He busted the door. I'm like, get out, like, like, bro, like, first of all, you ain't supposed to be up. He was up before he's supposed to be. He like throw up the whole like energy of the house. My wife frustrated. And before I left, I just said, I'm sorry. I said, I'm sorry for yelling at you. And I don't want that to be a thing. I want them to just know, like, daddy make mistakes too, right? And I just said, I'm sorry for yelling, but you gotta knock. You can't just bust into, and he said, I'm sorry too. And it was like it was just a real nice moment. I don't want my kids to think to think that I think I'm perfect. And I don't want them to think that I'm perfect. I want them to know that he's trying to figure it out. And he'll at least admit when he doesn't have it figured out, right?
I went to my
Fred.
Yeah.
My bad. I just didn't want to lose that point, because what you said about that being vulnerable, not letting your child think you're perfect. I had those moments sometimes with my father, with my mother, and I'm holding them to a superhuman standard. And now that I'm 32, about to be 33, I can see that at this age, they was just figuring it out too.
Yeah.
So it's things I was pissed at them about. They probably didn't know no better.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So we have to let our children, like, you want to have that mystique, but you can't have it, to be honest. You got to strip that bullshit away, because end of the day, they're going to go through the same path. And then now they're going to be trying to walk around with these unrealistic expectations. Look, we don't have it figured out at our age.
Right.
Yeah. So now they got to be 20, 21, have the world figured out and mastered.
Right.
And you get what I'm saying? I wasn't there yet. So that's all I wanted to. I just wanted
two things I wanted to say. When I went to homecoming this year, I ran into a guy by the name of Toro Hooper. He used to work at the Dean of Students at Saginaw Valley, and then he wound up going to Central and working there. But he was just stressing so much that we as adults, we have to understand that the children that we're dealing with, they're different. They're not the same. And I brought that up. I brought that up because I can remember, being in my dad's household. I mean, my dad probably apologized for something that he did between the ages of like Xerox and 18, maybe twice, maybe. And it's not that my dad was this, this tyrant, even though, Mr. Mays did rule with an iron fist when he had to. It was just that those were the times back then. So I say all of that to say that, I understand and I appreciate y'all maturity, because we have to be mature. Especially with these children. But, my mother has always held a high regard in my life, because I can remember my mother was never afraid to have the tough conversations. And she was always willing to get up front about them and like pull us to the side. It'd be me and you, not me and Troy and her, but me and mom. And she was willing to have those tough conversations that I didn't like when I was a teenager. But when I got older, I was able to, go to her, because I knew that she was going to keep it real with me regardless. We got to be mature and understand that with these children, we're going to have to take a different approach. But we always have to extend our hand and always be that outlet. We always got to be ready and willing to talk, to be approachable. I think that's a lot of it, really. My parents were as tough as they needed to be with us, but they were always approachable.
Nobody want to talk to somebody perfect. Nobody want to even feel like, because I'm automatically gonna get judged if I'm talking to somebody that don't have any flaws, right? Now as a young child, now I'm going. I had a good friend recently. They're like family, right? So I'm checking in on his mom, his grandma, and I realized she don't know that he got a new job. Like, as we talking, I'm like, this boy been working 90 days and she don't know. And so I said, I talked to him, I said, your mom, you haven't told her about the new job? And he said, no, he said, she would just over talk me so much when I was younger that a lot of times I just stopped talking to her about stuff, right? And he love her and they have a good relationship, but certain things he's not seeking her out for. And again, she's probably just trying to do the best that she could at the time, not knowing that she kind of turned him off in that way, and he doesn't communicate some of those things to her. And I'm sure she may not realize what she's missing, but I'm sure they know that there's a little disconnect there.
Yeah, I'm gonna throw this out there. Have y'all ever done like affirmations with y'all children? Like just a small, like small mantras. It could be anything. It could be like just a saying that you and your kids might have. My child's mother started doing that, and I like started doing it. I try to do it every time my daughter wakes up, and it's not even about what you're saying. It's just the eye contact. It's I believe it's real small, but it's the strength that you're building in a person that allows them to be able to have the confidence to look you and another person in their eyes. Like stuff like that is small. I mean, we know how it is, guys.
It's not small, man. It's not small.
It's
not important. It's a lost art.
I didn't get my words right. What I was trying to say is that the difference between good and great is small. So it's the small things or whatever that really puts you over. That those 5 seconds of just looking in your child's eyes and letting them know that they are important, that they are loved, that they have your attention. It goes a long way. Yeah. This thing about parenting. Go ahead.
It's twofold. I don't want to forget that one thing you were saying in that previous conversation about your guy and his mother. And one thing I want to say is just us, especially as we get older, we have to give our parents grace. And what I just mean by that is they didn't know it all. My parents didn't do everything great. They didn't. But they used
let me interject real quick, Troy. Just think about the information that we have access to and the information. I mean, just think about that. But go ahead. And the fact that our parents don't have a forethought.
We have access to more, and we're standing on their shoulders. So what I'm saying is, and I don't want to go too deep with it, but you're coming from generations that's not far removed from slavery, Jim Crow, civil rights. So they didn't have a lot of access to things, meaning they probably only knew how to communicate with a belt or an iron fist, where we know how to actually deal with our emotions. Mm. So like, even with my children, I have so much patience. I'm not I barely even, what I'm saying as far as discipline, I mean, corporal punishment, I rarely do that because I can get through to them by actually explaining to them the path that will happen if they keep acting the way they do. Because I've seen it. I don't need to do that with it. You get what I'm saying? Yeah. And now going back to the next, so I'm saying we need to give our parents grace because, like I say, they just didn't know sometimes. Unless they was just really just dogged you out, you was abused. You get what I'm saying? We got no different than what you know what I'm saying, than anybody else that was raised up. You know what I'm saying? My mom worked hard, and I knew she was going out there to take care of me. Yeah. I would never look at her and say, you know what, you could have spent more time with me. Because I knew what it was for her to do that for 2 boys. You get what I'm saying? And now going back to affirmations, I don't do affirmations, but the biggest thing I do, and I told my son this is, you can be anything. You can do anything. It was funny to say how your son, you have to apologize to him. My son challenged me a little bit. He's hilarious. He's such a I could just be frank. He's an asshole like me. So I'm looking at him, and I had this deep heart-to-heart conversation with him, like, son, you don't got to be an athlete. You can do whatever you want. He has an affinity for cooking. He wants to be an engineer. He's designing video games. So I said, you can go out and do whatever you want. But the next day, I was like, damn, I saw how big he was. And I was like, man, just for daddy, just try football. I like sports, try. And he looked at me, he said, Dad, you said I could do anything. So I got to do that. I'm like, man, you asshole. And I told him, I said, it's not about not doing football. I said, it's just trying. don't be afraid to open yourself up to environments you're not comfortable in.
Because you don't know.
Take those challenges as well.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying? But and back in my day, if I said something like that, my dad will probably be like, boy, you questioning me, what the hell wrong?
Right.
I laughed at him because sometimes as parents, we can talk out of both sides of our mouth. And I address all the insecurities and vulnerabilities I had. I told him, I said I wasn't the best athlete I wanted to be because I didn't work hard. Mm-hmm. I told him. So I'm saying, just go out and try something, but it still taught me discipline. So going back to it all to sum it up, still, we have to tell our children that because they need that reassurance and that, you know, they need to be affirmed.
Yeah. Let me push back on you a little bit, Troy.
Okay.
We just got a couple of minutes before we have to wrap.
Yeah.
You can be whatever you want. I would say that maybe there's a way to drill down and be a little bit more specific with that. You just talked about some of the things that he's interested in. So I already have an idea of like how he's wired, right? Cooking, he's very particular, right? He has a very like linear, like, so there's a number of things that he could do, but he may need you to speak some of those things, you know, sort of out loud and not just, hey, you can do whatever you want, but like, yo, you know, so I would push back on you a little bit and challenge you to be a little bit more specific. And he's at that age now where he's thinking about these things. YouTube some stuff, you know, we can, you know, job shadow or whatever, talk about different programs to get his mind thinking about those things. I don't do affirmations, but I do try to speak power into my babies. You know, I tell them, you know, I tell them that, you know, they're handsome and they're beautiful, but I also tell them that they're kind. You know, that, you know, I tell my daughter all the time, you're here your gift is to lift people up, not tear people down. Don't, you know, it's a lot of these small lessons, Trev, like you were saying, they seem small, but look at somebody in the eye, shaking their hand, tell them what your name is, shake your hand. You know, those things are a lost art, bro. Everybody's in their phone now. It's like the person is going to be able to hold a conversation, look somebody in the eye. That person is going to still have an advantage, man, because eventually you're going to have to come up off that phone, have a conversation, and a lot of these young people aren't going to be able to do it.
No, they're not. And like, it's crazy you said that, because with the things you tell your children, it's not that far for what I told my son. And I probably need to tell my daughter more. I'm just so much in a lovey-dovey mode with her. You gotta say, she just brings happiness out of me. So, but I do, as she get older, need to have it. But the biggest thing I told my son is, it's just only 3 things I want you to get out of life. And I said, I want you to be good to others. Basically what you told your children, be a good person, be nice to people, don't be conniving, don't be an asshole, don't be like that, don't be heartless. And then I told them 2, work hard. Don't cut corners, work hard. And then 3, I told them, don't be afraid to stand up for yourself as well. Because my son, like before, referencing our last conversation, we can avoid conflict, or I know I can, and I see it with him sometimes. And I'm like, but all you're doing is just delaying that or giving people a green light to sometimes still treat you that way. So don't be afraid, you know what I'm saying, to stand up for yourself and let someone know, like, no, this is not.
Let me wrap. This has been great. We definitely got to figure out how to get back together and keep these conversations going. I just want to let everybody know that you are all capable. You just need to embrace your own frequency. Troy, Trev, thank you. Welcome back to Baxter's Bloods, man. And until next time, peace.
Thank you, man.
We out here.
Yes, sir.
Welcome into his brain. Welcome into his frequency. Enter at your own risk. Come be at peace with me.
Thank you so much for watching this video. If you haven't already, please hit the like button. Please subscribe. share, and also hit that notification button as well. Thank you so much.
Financial literacy to authentic Black history.